on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge, on the righteous edge. Live it up on the edge, on the righteous edge. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I love being a coon, shucking and jiving to the moon. I learned that thief has never learned, so I jump ship just to let him burn. I travel delay for the coon. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, the righteous edge. Shucking and jiving on the righteous edge, the righteous edge. Living up on the edge, on the righteous edge. Living up on the edge, on the righteous edge.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy Jack Bravo back on the Righteous Edge. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't know if you guys got to see on Monday, I was able to do some debates on Discord. I'm going to try to make that a Monday thing where I do debates until we get popular enough where people can call in and I can have my own platform and people can just debate me there. Because what I don't like about what the world has told Christian men to do is sit down, be nice, be silent. And we're letting these crazy people run amok. They're taking over our education. They're taking over our politics. They're taking over our families. They're taking over our churches. All these woke idiots, idiotic people with their idiotic ideology are telling men to be silent and you're too mean and to watch your tone and you can't just say what you feel and you gotta make sure that when you say it, it's with love and gentleness and kindness. And if you don't, you're not really it's not the way that Jesus Christ would do it. So you're not a good Christian man. I'm getting sick of that. I want people to get comfortable being warriors because the days are evil and it's not going to get any better because evil is on the rise. When you look at society, things are not getting better. They're just getting more and more degenerate. I would love to say that the pendulum is swinging, but it's not swinging fast enough for me. And what I want to see is men be encouraged to stand up for what's right against evil. Now, today, what I want to talk about, because I got to keep the theme of putting my foundational beliefs out there. Teaching young men as a mentor, as I've been for 20 years, teaching young men what they should do, what they shouldn't do, what to avoid. Today, we talk about what to avoid. And in that, we're talking about what type of fake Christian women to avoid. If you don't know what a fake Christian woman is, just go online. You'll see it in a matter of 2 seconds. They're all over the place. They claim to have a relationship with Jesus Christ. They claim to be active in their church. They claim to read the Bible. But when you examine it, you will see that these women are evil and they only use the name Christian as a stepping stool to get what they want out of life. A lot of times it's power and control. And these women ought to be avoided. Now, this is what I don't want to say. I don't want to say that everybody that we're naming is not a Christian. because I don't know that. Some of these women are misinformed. Some of them have gone to bad churches, have been led astray. Some of them are trying to find their way without the right guidance. So I don't want to say they're absolutely not Christian, but I will say this. A lot of them are not. Because Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me." They have the attributes of following Jesus Christ. And if you don't see the fruits of the spirit in people, and I'm not just talking about just love, joy, and peace. If you don't see God's work manifesting in someone's life, that's the way you use the word manifest correctly. If you don't see it manifesting in somebody's life, that God has done a work in them and is showing, then you do need to question that person's salvation. I'm not saying you can make the declaration, this person is absolutely not saved, unless they say things that point to them absolutely not being saved, like not believing in the deity of Jesus Christ. But there are people that claim they know Jesus Christ. They claim that Jesus Christ is their God and they serve Jesus Christ. And then when you look at their lives and their belief system, it shows the exact opposite. And those type of women should be avoided. We talked about men in the past. We talked about how secular humanism affects the black male and how it's affecting rap music and the ideology that it leads to. Today, we are talking about when you are looking for a wife, when you're looking for somebody to link your life, to lead down this path, to procreate with, you have to avoid these type of women because they will destroy your life. And later on, what we're going to talk about is the dangers of simping for these type of women. There's nothing worse to me. We can talk about OnlyFans models. We can talk about the whores and the sluts online and all the evil they do. But nothing angers me more than a man that should know better and still gives the attention, still gives the money, still gives the praise to evil women, because that's what allows them to be the way they are. These women ain't doing this with no payoff. They're doing this because they get attention, money, fame from men. That doesn't mean, too, because some people go the other way, too. That doesn't mean that they have no accountability or responsibility. They absolutely do. But men have to hold them accountable, because one thing I've learned recently is women can't do it. They can't. They don't have the ability. They try, but they're far too soft. They don't have the fire that it needs to burn evil away. They just don't have it. It's not their role in society. They can stand by you. They can even hold other women accountable, but they don't have the fervency, the fire, the warrior mentality to put evil to death like men do. They ought to stand out of your way while you do it. So with that being said, one of the first things I want to go over is somebody who's not necessarily a fake Christian, but online this lady has been. I gotta get some context. Some people they're gonna think I'm picking on this lady. Her name is autocorrect, and I see her online, and a lot of times I see her, and she's saying a lot of things I agree with. I'm a Reformed Baptist. I don't believe there's this battle online now where there's basically Protestant versus Catholic versus Orthodox, and she is obviously Protestant. I'm Reformed Baptist. I don't even try to get into those type of debates because I think they can derail into silly things. But she said a lot of truth when it comes to those debates. But then I look and I see some of the other things she's saying. And this is something a lot of women fall into. They fall into this ideology that says, when you hold men accountable, be harsh as possible. Hold nothing back. But when you hold women accountable, be as soft and gentle as possible. And always turn back around and blame it on men. Always. Never let the women take full accountability, because if the men were leading right, the woman with their inherent goodness and godliness that comes from being made up of goody gumdrops, rainbows, and sunshine. They'll never do anything like that if men weren't leading them astray. It's too many weak Christians who believe like that. They don't hold women accountable because they don't believe women are as evil as men. And I'm here to tell you, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Every single one of us. Our righteousness is as filthy rags. We all have a sin nature that needs salvation that can only come through Jesus Christ. Women as well. Every time that a woman does something evil, that doesn't mean a man led her astray. Second of all, every time that a woman does something sexual, she wasn't taken advantage of. We need to get that out of our head. Because there's too many women going around and saying, oh, she must have been taken advantage of. That's why she's acting out and that's why she's being a prostitute. No, she's being a prostitute because she's evil. We can deal with all the other stuff, yes, but we need to acknowledge that she is evil, because if we keep convincing her that it's not her fault, she will miss the point of life, which is you need a savior. If you don't convince somebody that they are evil, if we don't tell them the truth about their own sin, you are going to miss the whole point of the gospel message, and that person could possibly miss the role of salvation that can only come from Jesus Christ because you're convincing them some man has done something wrong to them. Now, why do I say all this when it comes to this person autocorrect? It's because I see time and time again, when you look on the surface, what she's saying sounds about right. But when you look at the totality of the things she says, she always takes the woman's side, and she always responds harsher on the man, and she never condemns the woman the way she does men. And if you were to ask her, she would say, I condemn women because I tell them the love of Christ. You need the love. That's not what I'm talking about. We'll look at some of the things she says and we'll analyze it. I believe she's a Christian, but we need to get through this first, because I don't want her to be grouped in with the other women we're talking about who I really believe are not Christian. But this is something many women in the West can learn from. Hey, Mr. Producer, you want to put that on screen?
There we go.
This is something, yeah, we'll go to that. Okay. And can you read that for me?
Sure. A wife stays soft when a husband leads well.
That sounds great, doesn't it? A wife stays soft when a husband leads well. Meaning that the wife would do what she's supposed to do if the husband's doing what he's supposed to do. That's actually an incorrect way of teaching a woman. The reason why is because you ought to be a godly feminine woman regardless of what your husband is doing. We can see this in Corinthians, where it tells you even if your husband is an unbeliever, you're still supposed to submit to him. Your softness, your femininity, your submission is not dictated by what he does. You ought to submit regardless. And we teach this stuff and it sounds so great. If men were to lead, then women would just follow. Sometimes they would, but look in our society. Many times they aren't, and they need to be held accountable. And part of that is because in our society now, we live, in my opinion, a matriarchy where women have far more power than men in American society. So now you got to kind of hold them more accountable because they're the ones leaving marriages at a 60%. Statistically, they're leaving 70% more. 70%. Men initiate 30%. Women initiate 70%. Why is that? Because there's a benefit to it. There's a benefit to it. And we talked about this just last week, and we brought up all the statistics and everything. So, Mr. Producer, you want to read our next statement? It sounds so good, doesn't it?
It does. The entire manosphere exists because men are upset that it's easier for most women to have casual sex than most men.
Wrong. Let's pause right there. The entire manosphere exists because of this. No. And we need to acknowledge that the manosphere, the red pill, is a response to rampant, blatant, out of control feminism. Men have gotten together and they're saying, why do we have such bad results? Why does it seem like women are worse now than they were in the past? And here's the secret. As a Christian man, I'm saying this. They're right. The red pill, the manosphere, they are right when it comes to women. Now, I'm not saying that every solution they give is right, but their analysis of where women are in society is absolutely right. Women are more loud, more boisterous, more combative. They don't know how to shut up and listen. They leave divorces. They commit abortions. They are worse than they've ever been in all of society. No debating. So it ain't the manosphere is evil and they just want this and just want that. You have to acknowledge as a Christian when something is true. And the manosphere and the red pill has plenty of truth to it to be gleaned out. It is not true because they discovered it. The truth that the red pill discovered is something the Bible has been saying since the beginning of time. Since Genesis, it told us what the woman's downfall was. I'm actually going to teach a lesson on that on Sunday, this Sunday. You want to read or continue reading?
They pretend it's about religion, politics, and safety. Sorry, politics, safety, and the economy. But when you argue long enough, that's what it's about. Men built society where they could have consequence-free sex, and the women bought in, but only selected a small number of very attractive men. And now the men that got left out are mad and bitter and want revenge.
Wrong. That is a wrong assessment. First of all, the suffrage movement, the first wave feminist, it wasn't pushed by men. It wasn't pushed by men as a whole. Men as a whole were against it. It was if you read Rachel Wilson's book, it was a small subset of men who pushed it using the CIA, by the way. And they, with a small group of women who were feminists and prompted by a lot of occult beliefs and rituals, to push society in a certain direction where women could be on the same level as men in the hierarchy of the family. And they pushed that agenda, and guess what? Even the women were against it, to the point where they wouldn't even allow women to vote on it. They made it a federal 19th Amendment and passed it. This was not men getting together saying we just want to have free sex. It was pushed towards men as free sex. Absolutely. When you get to the 70s, the sexual revolution, you get that they use feminist ideologies and mantras and all types of trying to convince people a certain way. They use free sex to push feminism. But the whole point when feminism first came, first wave feminism, it wasn't all men pushing that to have free sex. It was women, a small group of women, who wanted to push society in a certain direction because of their sinful ideology. And the men, especially some people even go as far as to say it was the industrial leaders at that time wanting to double the workforce. And I see a lot of arguments for that too. You can double the workforce. Here's the thing you can do from Satan's perspective. You can put both mom and dad in a job where the state now raises the children. And because the state now raises the children, the family unit has been crushed, and the woman looks at it as she has no need for the man, and the man looks at it as I don't no longer have any need for a wife. This was not pushed by men, at least not men as a whole. And so stop blaming it and acting like the manosphere, oh, they're just getting what they deserve. No, that's not the case. Men are not out here getting what we deserve because this is what we voted for a long time ago. This is a response to blatant feminism. This is years and years in the making. Come on now, don't lie. You can read the rest, Mr. Producer.
Before I do, we've got a comment on
Go
this.
ahead.
Andy Moore says, can't live with them, can't live without them.
It's somewhat true, man, because we're gonna discuss some nonsense today.
Moving
Just give me
on
a
here.
second.
Yeah. This is just getting good now. So he says, that's all the manosphere is, jealousy. Maturity is realizing that casual sex and porn is a sin. It damages anyone who participates, and people who do it need prayer.
You know what? Let me pause there, because is she right about that? Yes. She's right. But her assessment and how things came to be is absolutely incorrect. And it's not just jealousy. People hate the manosphere because a lot of Christian women don't want to, they don't want to admit this, but they don't want to give up the power that comes with feminism either. You know how I know? Ask them, hey, should we repeal the 19th if that meant that for the rest of the United States existence, we would get Christian leaders? Uh-oh. Most of them will say, no, because I still want the right to vote and have power over what happens in the country. Oh, so what I heard is you want power over the benefit of society. You want power knowing that it would not benefit society. And let me tell you a secret. If we repealed the 19th, we would get rid of abortion. We would get rid of all this DEI stuff. We would get rid of these LGBTQ parades because men by far are not down with that stuff. It's the women voting for it. So a lot of Christian women hate the manosphere for exposing the fact that they have too much power in society. That's the truth. You can read the rest of it.
You should not feel jealous of them. You should also realize that as long as you continue to use porn and wish that you could use women the same way, your heart is unregenerate, and you also need Christ and prayer to overcome the sin in your heart.
It's cool that she's pointing this out. Here's my problem, though. You got drug users and drug dealers. I hate that Christian women only point out the drug users and not the drug dealers. The women on OnlyFans and women creating pornography and the women on all these sites and the women doing all this flirtatious, goofy stuff that you see on X and TikTok where they gotta show they bum cheeks every time you turn around. You need to call out them, in fact, in my opinion, even more than the men. Because the men are the ones who are addicted. And men, we do have a need for sex. I don't care what anybody says. We have a need for it. And from the time I was young, I was made. I did not go searching for this stuff. It was broadcast to me at a young age. And women have constantly been broadcasting this stuff to men like myself. Even though I'm married, every time I turn around, I see some stuff I don't want to see. So when are you going to hold these drug dealers accountable for the drugs they're dealing in your community? When? Are you even doing it at equal rates? Because I don't hear a bunch of discussions from a lot of Christian women about, these women need to stop slutting themselves out. They have unregenerate hearts. They're trying to get young men to engage in straight up adult material at a young age. I just saw a video and this is kind of sick. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm gonna describe it to you because I can't show it. I was scrolling through X and I saw these e-girls, right? E-girls and typical e-girls with some dude like Jack Dorothy, where you got an e-girl, right? And you got this dude who's like an influencer and he's streaming from his room. And this is two separate cases this happened. Thank God it didn't show anything, but I was like, what is the fuss about this video? And this is what it was, okay? You got this guy and he's an influencer and he brings these OnlyFans girls on. And if you know anything about influencers, their crowd and the people that watch them, their audience is anywhere from like age 6 to 16. They're young boys. And they bring these OnlyFans girls on. And so what happened is the OnlyFans girl, she's sexually dancing on top of him. Not showing anything. She's obviously clothed. But what does that do? And it gets worse. Because, okay, you're thinking young boys are watching this. And they know young boys are watching this. So what do? They keep upping the ante. And what this girl did was, she was like, oh, you know what? Me and my friend can go under the table while you still stream. And keep in mind, she's mic'd up. And so you hear all these sexual noises as she's orally going on this young man while he's streaming to young kids. And this didn't happen once. It happened with another producer who tried to copy the other one too. And they were talking about, oh, they were banned on Twitch for this type of behavior. They should be arrested for that. They should be arrested for that. And I'm talking about the men and the women, because what's happening is the men, the influencers, they're the channel that got banned. The OnlyFans girls who came on his channel, nothing happened to them. And you want to tell me that we're holding people accountable to the same degree? These women are going to go find another influencer that they can orally get down on. No shame. And no women will call this out to the degree that's necessary because they're too soft. But then when I do it, or Andrew Wilson does it, or somebody else does it, we're bad guys. We're too harsh. But you ain't going to do it, so shut up and get out the way while we do it. Can you go to the next thing?
Sure. So it's a picture of, well, she's titled The Last Adam. And unlike Adam, Christ doesn't blame his wife. Instead, Christ takes his bride's sins upon himself and bleeds and dies for her.
You see what I'm talking about? When I'm talking about, unlike Adam, Christ doesn't blame his wife. He doesn't hold her accountable at all. He just takes her sin and he forgets everything she does. And he doesn't hold her accountable. He tells her, I love you, and kisses her on the cheek and says, keep sinning because I got you, baby. That's the idea they want. Nothing about holding a woman accountable at all. What is the, and it'd be different if that's not, if you could see her holding women accountable, but you saw her holding men accountable previously. But then when it comes to women, it's just posts like this. Maybe she tried to post a correction from women and it got auto-corrected. Maybe that's why she calls her name autocorrect. It won't let her even correct women. You want to go to the next one?
Yeah. So she mentions another account, Brian Mitchell's account. She says, to be honest, I'm not seeing men following Christ. I see feminism as a huge scapegoat for all people failing to submit to Christ. Men don't know how to submit to Christ, how to lead, how to sanctify their wives, only how to fight with them. Women's behavior by design is downstream from that, or else you deny God actually put men in charge.
What the heck? Mr. Producer, let me ask you. Okay. So
Okay.
What did that say women are doing wrong?
Where did I see that?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't see anything. It's all about men.
You know what?
Men,
Let's
men.
read it. Let's read it again. Maybe I missed something.
Yeah, maybe I did too. It says, to be honest, I'm not seeing men following Christ.
Okay, we see men that don't follow Christ.
I see feminism as a huge scapegoat for all people failing to submit to Christ.
So feminism is a huge scapegoat. Okay, continue.
Men don't know how to submit to Christ.
Okay, men wrong again.
Mm-hmm. How to lead.
Wrong again. Men wrong again.
How to sanctify their wives.
So men are wrong again.
Only how to fight with them.
Oh, so men are wrong again.
Women's behavior by design is downstream from that, or else you deny God actually put men in charge.
Oh, so it's men. Oh, I understand. I get it. It's men's fault. Yeah, so when you sin and I sin, it's men's fault. But then when my wife turns around and she sins, it's men's fault. But then, when I get up in the morning and she sinned when I wasn't even up in the morning, it's men's fault. It's always men's fault. Can women take accountability for anything in life? She's a Christian leader. She has plenty more followers than me. She's always talking this Christian stuff and always talking about the Holy Spirit and Jesus Christ. But then it ain't no holding women accountable. And guess what? She be responding when somebody got a stupid response on her comments. She can't wait to jump on them. But every time I respond and ask a good question, I ain't never got a response from her. Never. I asked her a simple question on one of her posts. I said, hey, what responsibility do women have in society? Did I get a response? Nope. Everybody above me, everybody under me got a response. Not me. The question was too hard. You want to go to her next thing?
Yep. So we move down to Proverbs 31, where she's commenting on that. I'll pull this right up here so everybody can see it. She says, the Proverbs 31 woman has the full confidence of her husband. Tell me, do you lock down and deny freedom and agency to a person you have full confidence in?
That's a dumb statement. You know why? Because when you are a husband, when you're the leader, when you're in control of your family, there's plenty of times where you got to take away people's agency. There's plenty of times where I will tell my wife, no, you can't go over there because it's dangerous. But I really want to go. But guess what? I'm the leader and I have decided it's too dangerous and I'm responsible. I'm taking away your agency. Yes, I have confidence, but guess what? I don't have full confidence in anything but God. So you saying that sounds good, but it's just not true. And here's the problem with you people. Y'all ain't gonna debate a person like me because I will rip you apart with the word of God. Y'all always debating people you can win against. You'll debate an easy idiot red pill dude who will say something stupid like men should have sex with 50 girls and a couple of men before they get married. You'll debate somebody like that who claims to be a Christian. But when it comes to somebody like me, you will not, you won't last. Because I actually know the scriptures and I actually know the games y'all play. And no, this is why y'all don't want to do it. Or they'll try to like big boy you because they got a big platform and I have a small platform. Here's the thing. We need supporters for this reason. These people need to be called out. They always do this. And then they wonder why men have gotten so weak. They'll be the same person turn around. Men just don't stand up for anything nowadays. Yeah, because women like you. You stifle a man's strength. You stifle a man's power. You tell him and encourage him to be weak. No man want to hear that gobbledygook. Shut your mouth and get out the way while we, the men, correct what's going on in the church. We don't need your help. Husband has full confidence in his wife. No, he doesn't. I expect my wife to act like a woman, just like she expects me to act like a man. Here's the thing. My husband, gay, my wife should have full confidence that I'm going to be a man. She should not put me in situations that she can't trust me either. I'll give you an example. Should my wife trust me going to a strip club and say, well, he's just going there to witness? He's just going there to spread the word. He said he was going there to spread. No, that's a place of temptation for me. She should not be cool with that. I don't have full confidence in her. I have full confidence in God. All right, you want to read the next one? Because it sounds so good, too.
What about, are we still on the Proverbs? Or we move on to the next section?
We can go to the next section.
Okay. Oh, yeah, here we go. Men bent on control and power aren't reflecting the spirit of Christ.
Wrong. You know what? Because it sounds good. Men bent.
Mm-hmm.
That phrase, men bent on control and power. Here's the thing. Men who desire control and power are not bad because control and power are for the leader. You are supposed to have control of your family. You are supposed to have power over those underneath you. You would consider me a bad parent if I just let my kids run amok and had no power over them. If I had no control over my wife and she went and she started an OnlyFans, I would be a terrible husband. People be asking, why is she so out of control? Don't he got no power in his relationship? A man who is a leader is supposed to have power and control. It just sounds good because y'all have adopted this Christian feminist ideology. Men bent on power and control are not reflecting the spirit of Christ. Does Christ have power and control? Oops. Guess you messed up there, didn't you? Does Christ have power and control over the church? Does Ephesians chapter 5 say you ought to obey your husband as unto the Lord? Is that power and control? Whoops, I guess you forgot about that. They're reflecting a system of the world he came to dismantle, using his liberal talking points. Dismantle. No. They're not reflecting that. If you want power and control as a man, it is good that you have power and control. You just do not let it corrupt you. Plenty of men in the Bible had all types of power. Solomon, David, Abraham, Nehemiah, some of my favorites, Elijah, had all types of power and control. They just didn't let it corrupt them. Now you say bent on power and control, you got to explain what that means, because a man should desire to have power and control if he's a righteous man. What, we going to let somebody else have it? You going to let a secularist have power and control over you when you can take power and control? And in fact, more men need to desire power and control. I'm going to be honest, because we've let secularists and atheists and Satanists have it. And now look, we got the Epstein files and can't nobody do nothing about these people because men, good men, don't have power and control. We let evil men have power and control. Now we running around like, I don't know what we gonna do. When COVID-19 happened and they said, you can't meet at church and you better wear your mask, you little punk. They told us that, and we don't know what we gonna do. These people got power over us. Yeah, good men should have power and control, and they should desire power and control. I'm tired of these weak Christians, man, acting like to let somebody rule over you and beat you down is the more godly thing to do. So now we get into our section, because before, like I said before, and I got to keep saying this, because if she was to ever see this video, I don't want her to believe that I don't believe she's a Christian. I believe she has some Christian ideologies, and I most likely see that she is a Christian. I just think she is wrong and has a huge blind spot in this area. When it comes to masculinity, I think she needs to keep her mouth shut. She doesn't know what she's talking about at all. Talk to women, because you don't know what you're talking about when it comes to men. Second of all, I want to separate her from who we're talking about next, because it is levels to this. There are people that are much more evil fake Christians than autocorrect. I don't think she's a fake Christian. I think she's misguided. Next, we're going to go over fake Christian women that you, especially as a young man who's not in a relationship, need to avoid. Let's go, Mr. Producer. You want to read that first part?
Oh, starting off here, these are the types and what we can learn. So the first type is the forbidden woman, or the adulteress, or the immoral woman. The seductive, unfaithful woman who uses smooth, flattering words to draw men into sexual sin and ultimate ruin.
Here's the thing. A lot of men, they don't want to admit it, but they are put in a trance with a woman's sexuality and her woman's seductivity, her ability to seduce. We're going to look at some videos in a second, but you have to know as a man that this is a power that women have that we don't have it as good as them. You know, we got this guy out there named Clav, and he's talking about looks maxing and all this stuff to get your attractive level up to the opposite sex. I personally think that women will always have us beat in being the fairer sex. They will always look better to us than we do to them. And the reason why is because our utility doesn't necessarily work on looks or use looks as much as theirs does. When you see a man putting on makeup and trying to do his nails, you think that's not a man. But when you see a woman do that, you think, oh, okay, that's cute or that's beautiful. Women always have that above us. The ability to seduce is a power that a woman uses either for good or for evil. A woman can seduce her husband and honestly take a lot of the stress off of him with her sexuality. But she can also use that for evil, and in today's world, is often used for evil far more than it's used for good. Far more. So you got to be wary of a woman that's always using her seductive powers to get things out of people. We talked about the e-girls and how they run around and they get things out of people. Somebody buying them a flight, somebody buying them dinner. I've seen interviews from Christian women who say, I went on four dates in the past week. That's evil. You telling me you can't just take your time and pick a man? You constantly going on dates. They're buying for you. And yes, they're being bought by men. And you taking advantage of all these men who are interested in you, and you get all this free stuff using your beauty, and you've given back nothing in return other than your presence and your boring conversation. that's taking advantage. You want to read some more of that?
Sure. A woman who engages in sexual sin outside of God's design for marriage, such as adultery or promiscuity or seduction, often uses flattery and allure to entice others into immorality, resulting in ruin, bitterness, and spiritual death for those involved.
Let me say this. Remember, we talked about Not So Erudite and how she had, for a time, opened up her marriage for flirting with other men. And it was totally Christian and not unbiblical to do. And then you found out her husband was online flirting with Lav, this online prostitute behind her back. These type of things happen because of the seductive woman. She did not know. She was using her seductiveness to try to get ahead in life, and it came back to bite her in the butt. She's deceitful of their, I don't want to just make this about her, but they're deceitful about their intentions, and they will use others to fulfill their own desires. And this is what says somebody you don't want to be around. If a Christian woman is doing stuff like this, if she's going on all these days manipulating men, always seeing what she can get out of a man, you as a young man need to stay away from that type of woman. If she's always taking advantage of somebody, if she's always getting something from somebody, there goes so much. It's so, you got something, Mr. Producer?
Yeah, we've got some good comments on this section here. Andy Moore also says, "Brother, you know that I love you and I agree with you on these matters, but I was just reading the Word a few days ago, and a passage seemed to undermine my entire view of Christian men's responsibility to stand up to wicked authorities.
Okay.
Would you please give me your interpretation of Acts 23, verses 1 through 5?
Acts 23, verse 1 through 5. Let's look at it. Let me pull it up. Let me read it, because I've read through Acts recently, so hopefully I'll remember. All right, let's look. Acts chapter 23, verse 1 through 5. And looking intently at the council, Paul said, "Brothers, I have lived my life before God in all good conscience up to this day." And the high priest Ananias commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth. And Paul said to him, "God is going to strike you, you whitewashed wall. Are you sitting to judge me according to the law? And yet, contrary to the law, you order me to be struck." Those who stood by said, "Would you revile God's high priest?" And Paul said, "I did not know, brothers, that he was a high priest, for it is written, you shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people." I think that's an important verse. I'm kind of confused as what you mean by, do you think that's going against something that I've talked about, or do you think that's something, because you can call too. If you got my number, man, if you wanted to call, I'll put you on speakerphone. But I guess my question would be, are you saying that we as Christians should not call out authorities? Because I don't think that's what Paul is saying. Because Paul is saying you should respect your authorities, but he is even in that situation that he's in currently because he disobeyed authority. He disobeyed authority by proclaiming the name of Jesus Christ over and over and over until they took him, brought him before the high council, and put him in jail, and ultimately led to his death. So there's a lot of things that I think a lot of people can get wrong in there. And one of them is that there's a difference between respect and obedience. We as Christians, we should obey. Here he goes. What's up, man? I'll put you on speakerphone.
Hey, Jack.
What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for answering my question.
Yeah. Because go ahead.
I guess what is confusing me is, like, why doesn't Paul stand his ground there and say, like, no, God is going to strike you. You just blatantly disregarded justice.
Yeah.
You arrest me without any proper charges. I haven't done anything wrong. I'm literally obeying the Son of God's command to go preach the gospel to all the nations, including to the Jews first. And you would arrest me in the middle of the night, and then the Pharisees, the high priest, the whole synagogue is basically they're copying the playbook of what they did to Jesus. They're having like a weird kangaroo court, and they're beating him. And then one of the guards says, "Oh, would you really speak that way to the high priest? Like, don't you know who you're talking to?" And then instead of standing his ground, Paul is like, "Oh, well, I didn't know he was the high priest. In that case, I really shouldn't have said that."
Yeah.
Paul didn't say anything wrong. Like,
I don't think he said anything wrong, but I'll put it this way. The words he used were fighting words. He said, because when he got struck, and I'm going to read it, he said, "And God is going to strike you, you whitewashed wall," which
is that not true?
is true. No, it's true, but I think that when you're talking, for instance, like let's put ourselves in the situation, okay? So, and this is what I think Paul was dealing with. Say that we were arrested for preaching the gospel and we were brought before the governor, or we were brought before the mayor or the president. And then we said some, or whoever the leader was at the time commanded us to be struck. And we said, "You're an effing piece of trash" to the president. As a Christian, I think you still have to respect your authority, even though it's hard. Even though you in a situation where, yes, they are doing wrong to you, they still were given that authority by God, and there's a balance to happen there. And I think that's what Paul was trying to get at. Is like, even though these people are wrong, he was talking to somebody who was in a high authority and should not have disrespected them in that way. That's the only way I see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it does. I think we both have a high view of God's sovereignty, which means that whoever it is that's the leader of any nation or any church or whatever, like God has put that person, or at least allowed that person to be like.
Yeah.
That was like, okay, so you believe that, Andy, right? How about Joe Biden?
Yeah.
Like, it seemed to me that election was stolen.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you have a high view of God's sovereignty, put your money where your mouth is.
Well, you know what?
Prevented that?
In that case, there were some things that I did not do you remember when people were wearing the F Joe Biden shirts and the F Joe Biden, that I wouldn't do that simply out of respect for his position. That doesn't mean I don't feel that way, and that doesn't mean that he's a man that's so much worthy of respect, but his position is worthy of respect, so I wouldn't be shouting F Joe Biden. And I never thought that was right for Christians to do. Even though this man is corrupt, in my opinion, I don't think it's right to yell F the president when he's your president. So that's kind of how I would see that.
Do you think that Paul's words to Ananias in that passage were analogous or tantamount to obscenity?
Yeah, I do. I think it, because when you say when you're talking about whitewash wall, remember words meant a lot. They're not like we just be throwing on obscenities today. When you call somebody something like that, that meant something.
Right.
You know, it was like, these are fighting words. People died for their words. You know, like, so him saying that, I think he was like, I think he was going there with him. You know?
I don't know, man. I'm still wrestling through it.
Yeah. I wrestle through it too, man. I don't think it's an easy passage. And I also don't think that it's one of those things where you can take an absolute, we should do this because of that passage, or should do that. I think we should study it and glean what we can from it. But at the same time, is that to say some Christians will go too far in one direction or the other and say, you should never, ever say anything that could be perceived as disrespect to somebody above you? I don't agree with that. But I think you can go too far where, you know, man, you disrespected somebody who God put in that position.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But there's a reason it's in Scripture.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right about that. It's like All right, man. Talk to you later.
Bye.
All right, so. Mr. Producer, where we leave off at? That was a good question, though. That's a good question.
Yeah. And if anyone has comments like that, just keep
sure.
Feel free to leave them. Yeah, we'll try to answer those kind of questions. We're talking about that type of woman, the forbidden woman, her deceitful desires and intentions.
Yes,
we're talking about that. So we're gonna look at some Bible verses.
Yeah,
that talks
Proverbs.
about this. Proverbs. Yep. So Proverbs 5, verses 3 through 6. This verse talks about, for the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil, but in the end she is bitter as wormwood, sharp as a two-edged sword. Her feet go down to death. Her steps follow the path of Sheol. She does not ponder the path of life. Her ways wander, and she does not know it.
She's smooth, and she will get you. Like, you know what? Let's just play that first video.
Okay. Let me do this.
Is that it?
This one?
Yeah, we can play that.
So, I don't know if it's just me, but it's one thing when you're autistic and you have ADHD, but when you're a sex worker, it definitely adds a little layer of extra difficulty in life. Because it's like, not only do I have to pretend to be a human who can speak full sentences with ease, but I also have to mask and be sexy. And that's really hard for me to do, especially because I learned how to be sexy from watching Marilyn Monroe and Eartha Kitt.
Let's pause
Like,
it
I
real
watched
quick.
the
Can you
movies
pause
and
it, Mr. Producer? So this is a open sex worker. And what does the caption say, Mr. Producer?
Caption.
We're on her screen.
Oh, right here. This.
Yeah, ADHD.
Yeah, ADHD, autism as a sex worker.
And then
And on the bottom it says, being a sex worker with autism and ADHD is tough.
The problem is not that she's a sex worker. The problem is that she has ADHD and autism.
Yep.
And you see what I'm saying when it's talk about she is deceitful about her intentions and will use others to fulfill her desires. She will use her body to fulfill her desires. And this is what when you see a Christian woman that does this, they will make every excuse in the book for doing what they do, even when they know it's wrong. How do you observe something like this? You see a woman that will take advantage from somebody. When you take her out to a restaurant, how does she treat the waiter? How does she treat people underneath her? How does she treat the people who get her bags? Does she make excuses for why they just can't get things right? Does she treat them like absolute trash? When you see this woman, she knows she's doing something wrong. We're going to skip past her video because it sounded all windy. I thought it was a lot clearer than that. But we'll go to the next one. And I want you guys to observe this. Do they take any accountability for what they do?
Here we go.
With your daughter doing the same thing that you do for an occupation.
I would be totally fine with that because she's able to do it from the comfort of her own home. She's not having to go out and put herself in like weird situations to try to make money.
Would you be comfortable with your daughter doing the same thing that you do?
That's fine because it got the gist. The gist of the thing is this very popular female streamer who does OnlyFans. He's asking her, would you be comfortable with your daughter doing the same thing that you do now? And her answer is, of course. Of course. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm doing it in a way that's moral. She's doing it from the comfort of her own home. And this is what a lot of women do that's very, very wicked. They act as if they don't know what they're doing is completely evil. They know. Don't let them get away with these lies and have nothing to do with a woman who has this ill character where she cannot take accountability for her actions. Just think, And I want you to put yourself in a nightmare scenario as a man. If you were to date a woman with this type of this lack of accountability, what's going to happen when she leave with your daughter, take half your money, half your stuff, have full custody of your daughter, and encourage your daughter to be an OnlyFans whore like her? And you have no say. What's going to happen? You're going to be sitting there crying like, I didn't want that for my little baby girl. Oh, I was attracted to her mom while she was doing it. She was sexy while she was doing it, because men are totally entranced by a woman's sexuality and seductivity. But now when your little girl is on the line, it's a different game. And she and many women like her, if you see that she don't take accountability up front, she will have no problem leading your daughter down that same way, because she didn't have any problem convincing herself that it was right. Why would she not go to your daughter and say, yeah, well, I did it, and I convinced myself it was okay. It's good for my daughter as well. I seen a picture of a mom, a grandmother, a daughter, and the daughter's daughter, and saying, we're all only in OnlyFans. And I was thinking, what a despicable disgrace for a family. And then under that, there was a meme that says, why daughters need fathers. And it was like a children's book. And I was like, darn right. Darn right. You got to understand, man, like, this stuff is serious. This is some sick stuff that these women and that claim to be Christians will do to you. You know what? We can go to the next section. Let me see what it is, because we didn't read all the Proverbs verses, but
no. But we want to go on to the next
yeah,
section.
we can go over to the next section. So the next type of woman that you need to avoid, the quarrelsome, contentious wife.
Yes. So she's a woman who constantly argues or creates strife, making home life unbearable.
This is insanity if you see this type of red flag. If you see a woman who just likes to engage in arguments for the sake of arguing, you need to stay away from a woman like that. Young man, if you are dating a woman and her pastime is to just find fault and argue and pick at you and nag because she thinks it's cute, just put your mindset into 10 years from now, I'm going to be coming home from work and get that same type of attitude times 10. Do you want to live with that? When you see these contentious women, these women who love to argue, it's not cute. You can think it's fun at first. There was this girl I know, and she used to go to church with me. Maybe she'll see this video. And all she did was argue. We tried to be friends with her. Me and my brother would try to take her out just because, for one, she didn't have that many friends. But secondly, she was diehard feminist. She was like super feminist, super Democrat. Everywhere we went, everything was about misogyny and all this crap. And for some stupid, strange reason, me and my brother made her our project, and we thought we was just gonna change her. We even took her to like Gurney Mills once, and she would, like, when we went clothes shopping, we was just trying to be her friend. We went out of our way to be this girl's friend. And she just was so argumentative, man. She made an enemy out of everybody around. One time she had just said something so crazy, because I'd known her for a long time. And I remember I was dating my wife, and me and my wife were engaged, and she just said something crazy about my wife out of nowhere. And I cut her off. After that, I was like, no, I'm done. But I can't imagine being married to this woman. Arguments every day, no silence, no peace. Everything is being questioned. When you see that red flag, because she wasn't an ugly young lady. She wasn't ugly. So some dude, I think she's still unmarried, but some dude is probably seeing that like, oh, I can deal with that. I could deal with a little feisty girl. No, you can't. These type of women should have no place being around you. All they want to do is argue. You want to play that video Mr. Producer, we got a couple of them. Some of them are funny, but some of them just show the truth. Oh, the sound up, yeah.
I just want to get it queued up here.
Up a conversation. Like, if I don't agree with something you're saying, I'm not about to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show and agree with everything you're saying. I'm going to prove my point. One time, whenever I was preparing for interviews, one of the questions that I was preparing for was, what would you do if a manager didn't agree with what you were saying? And my response was, well, I would go back and look at the data to see if I'm right and then prove my point. To which the interview prep person was like, that's not what you're supposed to say. You're just supposed to say that you agree with the manager. And I'm like,
Nobody
well,
said
that's
that.
not very productive for the whole company. Like, if I just nodded my head like a bobblehead every time someone says something, even though I don't agree with them, that doesn't get anyone anywhere.
You know what? Pause this, Mr.
Personally,
Producer.
I think that
Because there's this misconception that women have that disagreeing is fun to men. Oh, you wouldn't want a boring girl. Yes, we do. I want a boring girl. I don't want nobody who arguing with me all the time. I don't want to hear your opinions every time you disagree. Sometimes you can just be quiet. That's totally fine with every man on the planet. We don't care to hear, I disagree with this and I don't like, we don't care to hear that. And here's one of the reasons why. And women do not understand this. When two men disagree, we understand that disagreements lead to conflict that often lead to physical assault. And what I mean by that is when two men disagree and we just can't come to a resolution, we understand there's some point where it will inevitably get physical. If I tell my brother, hey man, I don't want to do this, and he says, well, you should do it. And then I'll say, well, I'm not going to. Well, yes, you are. What do you think is going to happen if if nobody dumbs that down? If no one says, let's de-escalate, and we both escalate and escalate and escalate. Here's the problem with most women. They like the idea that they can escalate with no consequence. And this is why you should have nothing to do with a woman like that, because she'll be the first one saying, he abused me. He raised his voice. And you will sit there and be like, what? She's the one who escalated and escalated and escalated and did not let me leave the conversation until I got so mad and so angry that I just said, shut up. And now she's saying I abused her. There's no winning with these women, because say you do put hands on her, now you're a weak man that put hands on women. Say you don't put hands on her, now you're a weak man that gets beat by women and abused and talked down on. There's no winning. So you don't want to put yourself in a situation with a woman who loves to argue. I think we got another video.
Yeah. Let me get this one queued up too.
Every one of these
y'all don't
videos-
deal with women and how they nag because y'all like men, but it is exhausting. It's emotionally exhausting dealing with a woman who's highly neurotic, highly disagreeable. Everything bothers her. Nothing is ever good enough. She has a problem with every minuscule thing that pops up, and then she just exaggerates problems and issues to the point to where the only thing you want to do is get away from her. And that is a very real thing that a lot of men experience. I've dealt with it, and as I said, it's not intuitive when you deal with a woman after you've dealt with a woman like that and you move on to another woman. It's just heuristics. You already know, I've seen this before, I've seen this story before. This woman is going to be a headache, and that's essentially what we try to get away from. These women are migraines, and they created a lot of issues over the simplest things. You can't even communicate effectively with them because they're not willing to listen, they're not willing to understand, and they don't see the flaws in the things that they do wrong. Y'all don't.
You ever been in an argument that's inescapable? Nobody likes that, especially men. I'll tell you this. I've been in arguments with men that were inescapable until I put hands on them. And that was the way to solve it. I'm dead serious. You ever, and those who grew up in the hood or those who ever been in physical fights, y'all know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about you say, hey man, hey dude, can I just get past you and get in the store? Man, get the F out my face. What? Wait a second. I just asked you to step aside. Are you blocking the door? I don't care what the F you said. What you gonna do? Well, what I'm gonna do is escalate this until you back down, because now you've gotten disrespectful. I don't give a F. Do what you want to do. Now we're getting physical. You see how men, we escalate and escalate and escalate. So somebody makes a mistake that's disrespectful, then we escalate until it gets physical. Now, replace the man in that situation with a woman. There's nothing you can do other than avoid her. Because if you put your hand back and clock her right in the face, you're a bad guy. And I would agree. You, as a man, with great power comes great responsibility. You should avoid hitting women as much as possible. Nowadays, some of them kind of like make you do it, but you should. And I'm not saying I better correct that, because when I say make you do it, I mean some women are out there with knives, with guns, who really want to hurt you, and you got to defend yourself regardless if they're a woman or not. You don't deserve to be killed or scratched up or cause great bodily harm simply because somebody's a woman. That doesn't make any sense. You still got to defend yourself. I teach my sons that. But for the most part, men should avoid hitting women. But women don't understand that when men get into conflict, we don't want to escalate. That's why oftentimes you'll see a bigger dude deal with a younger dude or a smaller dude who's drunk or something, and we be like, hey, man, you got it. I don't care. I don't want to hurt you. That's why women win a lot of arguments, because it's like, yo, okay, you got it. I'm tired of this. I don't want to escalate until stuff gets physical, because that's how men think. I'd rather not escalate it. I'm going to let you have it. But guess what? We have to learn how to weave through that, because when you deal with a woman, if you've gotten into a marriage with her, now you with her. You got to learn how to overcome it now. But before, when you see these red flags, realize it's a red flag and push that woman away and never speak to her again. You don't have to go through your whole life being disrespected. Let that woman go. What's the next point, Mr. Producer? I think we got another video.
Yeah, you want to play the?
Yeah, we can play
Okay.
that. This is kind of fun.
Yo, I know you don't got those shoes there again. Again, you could have easily put them in the room, but right now you want to leave them there?
It's okay. It's
why?
okay, babe.
What?
It's okay. I'll just take them. Don't worry about it. I'll take them. What? You wanted to argue? You're in the mood to fight today? Is that what it is? Alright, just go and come back. I got you.
Again, really? You really gonna leave your shoes there? You couldn't put them where they belong.
No, but you can easily just pick it up. You can pick it up right now. I'm tired. I'm working so hard.
You can pause that. Sometimes it seems like that's what be going on. But here's the thing, though. If you have a woman in your life and you're a single man and you see that she likes to argue, even about politics, even about things that you're like, dude, it could be any little thing. Avoid that woman. You should not be arguing with a woman who wants to be on your team about politics. She should already be like, I see this man as a leader. I'm going to jump on his side. This is going to be controversial to a lot of people. I would never date a girl who's going to debate with me about God or politics. We can discuss it, yes. She can say, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I can pick her mind. But debating and then marrying her when we have total disagreements about things that I hold dear to my heart? Absolutely not. I'm not going to be debating a Republican and Democrat and I'm thinking highly considering you for marriage, knowing that you arguing about things that I hold dear to my foundational beliefs? No way. No way. Look like you wanted to say something, Mr. Producer. You good?
No, I was just looking ahead to the next section or two.
We can go to the next.
I'm getting ready for this. So we're talking now about the quarrelsome and fretful woman who was similar to the above that we talked about before, but now emphasizes being fretful, showing anxiety and always complaining alongside being contentious and showing contention.
This is not based from combativeness. It's more based from anxiety and a lack of trust. That anxiety comes from a lack of trust in her man. And she's trying, what she does is, what about this? And questioning everything you do. And, oh, this might go wrong. And I just don't know. And everything you do is questioned. And she has so much anxiety. She has mental illness. It's not up for you as a man to fix her mental illness. I'm going to say that again because some men really think it's their job. Well, she's struggling with this and she has bipolar. I don't care what she got. If her life is insanity and she got all these mental issues going on, that's not your job to fix her. It ain't your job. Now, if she want to come on your side and you're married to her and now she start exhibiting all this crazy behavior, yeah, you got to kind of deal with it now because you the two have become one flesh. But if this is before the dating period, during the dating period, before marriage, and she's exhibiting this anxious, crazy, crying at the flip drop of a dime type of behavior and going insane, no, you don't have to deal with that as a man. And somebody needs to tell you, man, you don't have to deal with that. Well, I can't just leave her now. She says she's going to off herself. So what? Ooh, that sounds so unchristian, don't it? So what? You don't get to hold somebody hostage because you going through a mental illness. What I would do in that situation, because I've seen this situation so many times with young men. She said if I leave her, she's going to end her life. Call her parents. Tell her, hey, she'll be over here. I'm leaving. And the reason why you want to leave is because if somebody's that volatile, if somebody's that insane, do you really want to be in proximity where she's willing to end her own life to get back at you? What else would she do? Will she lie to the police? Will she destroy your property? Will she hurt your children in the future if you get married? You don't want to be around that. Too many men are putting up with that type of abuse. You don't deserve that. Get out and say, no, I'm not dealing with some crazy, unhinged, psychotic woman. Honestly, I'll say this too, and a lot of people ain't gonna like this. As a Christian man, don't date no girl on some psychotic medication. She need to figure that out before she gets around to dating you. She just start falling down crying because she saw a picture of a butterfly that reminded her of her father. No, man, no. You don't have time for that. Go to somebody who's emotionally stable. These girls think you can be an emotional sponge for them and they can just flip out. No. Unacceptable. Unacceptable behavior. You as a man don't have to deal with that. In Proverbs, you want to read Proverbs 21:19?
Yeah. It is better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful woman.
Absolutely. Quarrelsome and fretful. Fretful is what we focusing on.
Yep.
Somebody who's emotionally unstable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just talking about she's scared of the future and we can't pay bills, so she's concerned. That's fine. I'm not even talking about crying more than a man, because women cry more than men and they're more emotional and they go all up and down every once in a while. That's nothing you should be like, oh, she's too much to deal with. Women are far more emotional than men, and you should get used to that. I'm talking about somebody who's emotionally unstable.
This is next level.
Yes. No, you don't have to deal with that. I hear too many stories from my boys, people that I know who dealt with a psychotic female. I'm talking about crying and laughing at the same time, curled up in a fetal position, won't let the man leave. He's trying to leave out the house for his own safety. She grabbing him by the arm, scratching him. That's emotionally unstable. You have to consider that this woman will one day be the mother of your children. Do you want her to drown your kids in the tub when you leave? You have to lower the chances, and you got to protect your future children. And you shouldn't have to protect them from their mother. You want to show that video?
You're so crying. What the It's like hysterical crying.
Women like this will just post themselves crying on the internet and literally say it's for no reason that they can think of. And it's for that reason alone that I am laughing. This chick is literally saying she's crying for no reason at all, and she's hysterically crying in her car and posting it to the internet. I'm gonna laugh, and you should too.
Think about this, though. Think about this, and this just be scary. How many hundreds of videos can you find like this? Of a woman in her car crying. Remember when Trump won? Y'all remember that? You remember all the insanity and these women with septum piercings and green and purple hair, and they were just screaming in the car. Ah! This is why The Bible says be equally yoked. It's not your job to fix a person like that. That person is probably dealing with something demonic beyond your control. You ain't supposed to fix it. Let that girl be alone. If she off herself because I'm a hurt myself if you don't want to be with me, that's not on you. She needs to seek help for her own problems. It's not your responsibility until you get married. And this is why you vet properly. And while I'm teaching you this, guys, this stuff, so you can see it before it gets to that level. Too many men think, oh, well, I really love her. Shut up with that gay stuff. And you say, how is loving a woman gay? It's gay because you as a man should not be beholden to your feelings above what is logically true. And if you see a woman who's borderline psychotic, having a mental breakdown every other day, you ought to say no to my feelings and yes to the future mother of my child not being I was going to say R word, retarded. You don't have to put up with that. Let's go to our next point. A woman who relies on deceitful charm and vain beauty.
Yep.
She relies on it.
Go ahead.
You can read it.
Oh, yeah. This was the woman without discretion. She has beauty, but doesn't have any wisdom, modesty, or self-control.
Oh, I was reading the wrong one, huh?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a beautiful woman without discretion.
Yeah. So there's beauty without wisdom, modesty, or self-control. Often it's tied to pride or lack of discernment or discretion.
This is the thing. She will do anything and everything for attention. If you with a girl, right, and you dating her, and I've been with a girl like this before, she will do anything for attention. She was dressing for attention. She looked good. And she was acting in a certain way, and she would do little flirtatious things to get what she wants. So if we were going out somewhere, she would grab somebody's arm and talk close to their ear. And I was like, no, you can't be my girl doing that. Oh, no. You cannot be a girl that's a whore for attention and then settle down with one man. And sorry to say this to y'all, but that's most of the girls on the internet now. Most of them. They cannot even get likes on their video without showing their butt crack. And we're going to, you know what? Let's just pull it up.
All right.
Because y'all seen it, but we need to see it in the context of what does it look like for a woman that should be avoided because she can't go one day without attention. And it's a TikTok girl's profile. Let's just pull her profile
got it right
up.
here.
And this is one of many. I would hate to just pick on this just. You know what? Can you click on her profile? Is there a way to do that? It won't let. Can you press retry or refresh? Oh, it's not working.
Yeah, there's something weird with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, if you go back to that video, I don't necessarily want to play that music though.
Right. Here, I'll just mute them.
Every one of her videos is like this. And what I was trying to show you guys is there's hundreds of videos every day, multiple times a day, sexualizing herself. You see it in the workout clothes and the skin tight.
Mm-hmm.
Everything, every one of her videos is the same thing. And what you got to think about as a man is what type of narcissistic behavior is it to where you have to post multiple times a day in different outfits, and every outfit is sexualized, everything hugging your body, and everything is dancing. You're not saying anything of value to add to the world, but you post like this multiple times a day. And what's happening with these young men is they get blinded by a woman's attractiveness. You will be lying if you said that woman was unattractive. She's attractive. That's why she can get away with doing that. And she will never have an end to the simps who will come to her rescue and say, look at my girlfriend. She's so hot. But here's the problem. When that type of girl get mad at you, it's 1,000 men in her DMs ready to take your spot. And you as a man are not built to compete to that degree. Oh, you built to compete in the world, but not to the degree where she's broadcasting herself as a single woman out to the rest of the world with no type of consequence. She can label herself as single, never show her boyfriend, and then anytime she get mad at you, some dude is willing to pay her $2,000 flight to Dubai. That's not a good person to be with. And she knows she can do it because if you look at her profile, that's all she does. She ain't like she adding anything else to the world. She is taking advantage of the fact of she knows how to get attention, and that's what she does. She has no discretion. I often hate when I see a Christian man start dating a girl and then you look at her profile and you're like, what the heck? Every other photo is her on the beach in a bikini. She's working out in these skin tight clothes. That's your girl? And then you look and they've been dating for a month and you see no pictures of him. That's your girl, man? That's not your girl. That's everybody's girl. You is just your turn. And I say that because that's a red pill statement. It's just your turn. When you have a girl like that, it's just your turn. When you have a wife, a woman that's worthy to be a wife, she will not broadcast herself like that on the internet for everybody to see. We can go to the next one.
So we got the next point here. This is the woman who relies on deceitful charm and vain beauty. Charm and beauty that are superficial or deceptive without true fear of the Lord. And it implies avoidance of those who prioritize vanity over godliness.
Yep.
This is the woman who relies on charm, flattery, manipulation, or allure and fleeting physical beauty. It's fleeting physical beauty because that doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
To gain favor or advantage rather than true character or fear of the Lord, making such traits unreliable and ultimately empty.
This is a woman that you need to avoid as a Christian man, even if you fit her criteria. Say you got money and you 6 feet tall and you're in really good shape. If that's the first thing that draws that woman to you, you should avoid her. I'm gonna say that again because a lot of red pill dudes would disagree with me. I don't care. If the reason why your girl is dating you and you date for marriage as a Christian man, we don't date for play. And the only reason she's dating you is because you're 6 foot tall and you got a nice car. There's always going to be somebody taller and always going to be somebody with more money and a nicer car than you. If she's that shallow and she's that superficial, avoid her. If she says, hey, when you're talking to them seriously, hey, where do you see our future going? And you get into these type of discussions about marriage and she says, I want my babies to look like this. And that's the main reason why I chose you. Avoid that woman because it's always going to be somebody better looking than you. She needs to choose a man on character, integrity, and how much he loves the Lord. If she does not choose, and that's not her hierarchy of criteria, then she will throw you to the side as soon as she finds a better man. And some people say, yo, a Christian woman will throw you to the side too. They shouldn't. Some do, because I think a lot of them are fake Christians that we're talking about today. But a good woman should be like, listen, okay, maybe he is older. Maybe he is balding in his 40s. Maybe he don't dress the way he used to, but I love him. He's a good father. He's a man of character, integrity. He's the leader of my home. And she will find ways to be attracted to you rather than being attracted to the whatever shallow thing is going on today. One of the things that Clavicular exposes, the Looksmaxer guy, he shows how shallow a lot of women are. He's out there and he got famous for being a good-looking guy. And if you watch his streams, he treats girls like absolute trash. And guess what? I don't even blame him. You know why I don't blame him? Because they still go home with him and they still sleep with him because he's a good-looking guy. He looks like a young Superman. And the girls allow him to do that type of behavior and get away with it. And then he exposes and he turns around and says, this is how shallow women are. She slept with me because I look good. And here's the reality. If you have a woman that's that shallow, and all women are not, let's not lie. Some women are good, godly, raised by their father women who deserve respect. But there's a lot of women who aren't. And if they're so shallow that you can't have even a deep conversation about the things of God with them because all they're wrapped up in is beauty and makeup and what bag I have, that's a woman you need to avoid. You want to play that video?
This is the one from X.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Oh, you gotta turn on the get a little bit. Hang on.
Oh yeah,
Give me a
that's
second, guys.
fine.
Yeah, let me just do this again. We'll just play
The
it.
audio, yep, there it is.
Yeah, there we go. Got it. Now we'll play it.
Very strong. I have a very close relationship with my church. And I love God. Like
Hang on a minute.
I believe that he will forgive
Full screen.
your sins for anything. And I think that he's happy that I'm successful. I
mean,
do
he
like a
would-
little video call because I'm currently living in Miami, but I used to live in Tampa. And that's like my home church. I love that church so much. And my pastor that is there, I can't listen to another pastor. So I watch like the little Sunday video thing that they do because they live stream it on Facebook. Very strong. I have a very close relationship with my church. And I love God. Like I believe that he will forgive your sins for anything.
You
And
want
I
to pause
think that
this?
he's happy.
So for those who don't know, this is one of the most popular OnlyFans creators, meaning that she does sexual content on an adult website, and she's talking about still believes in God. Now, for those who let's show one of her. The next one shows her page, and this is somebody who claims. This is why men need to be careful. This is one of the Christian women. You'll see her and think she's so beautiful. Look at this. Just scroll down, Mr. Producer. This is the stuff she's posting. Dude, does that scream modesty? Does this scream Christian to you? Is this a godly woman? Everything is sexual. Is she in any clothes that's not revealing? Any? Scroll down a little bit more. Let's see what else she got. Look at this. And so what happens in the church is men see a beautiful girl. And she says she's a Christian and she loves the Lord. And then you look at her life, and while she's claiming to be a Christian, she's on OnlyFans, she's posting sexual stuff like this. These are women you need to avoid at all cost. Yes, she looks good. Yes, she's pretty. What do you want for your life? Are you going to obey God, or are you going to obey your own lust and desires? Is this the type of woman you want to be the mother of your children? Is this the type of woman that you want your children to grow up and say, somebody sent me a picture of mommy doing something at school. They showed me a picture of mommy doing. Is that what you want? Imagine the effect that would have on a child. One more thing under there.
Yeah. There's one more. I'm
It's
gonna pull that
another,
up.
yes. Just to show you guys, these women claim to be Christians. Oh, that one's doing the thing too.
Yeah.
These women claim to be
Yeah.
Christians, and all they do is do sexual dances online, do everything to garner attention to themselves. This is what they do, and they have no shame and no regret. She's over here talking about the church she would go to, and let me say this, and I'm gonna say this, and this goes to show you your pastor is a simp. Your pastor's a sucker. Your pastor's a weak man. Your pastor is a piece of trash. If he knows you go there and he allows you to go there, he's a piece of trash pastor who is not worthy of the name of pastor. Because what type of leader of the flock would have a wolf amongst his sheep? What type of man would allow that as a pastor? He ought to take you aside saying, you are one of the biggest OnlyFans creators. You're well known. You will not be going to my church as a member and not repenting from your sin. You have this amount of time to get rid of, delete your stuff, or do not bring your punk butt back to my church. I'm not going to have you shaming the name of Christ, claiming that you go to my church and you're out here whoring and being proud of it and saying that you believe in God, making the name of God a laughing stock. The Bible says in Corinthians, if there's a Christian who is among you who have sexual sin in their life, which this is sexual sin, you ought to call it out and remove that person among you. And they call it leaven, like leaven in the lump. When you're making bread, you don't want a big lump in it. You remove the lump. And you give such a person over to Satan. That's what the Bible says. And then you got this person talking about, yeah, I go to church all the time, and my pastor is so great, I couldn't have it. Your pastor's a weak man. He's disgusting. He should step down if he knows you're in his church, which he has to know because she's a very well-known celebrity. She's one of the highest earners that OnlyFans ever has. I think she made like in the range of $64 million in a year.
Wow.
And people were saying she made more than some top athletes. So if she goes to your church, you know she goes, and you allowing her to come. Not saying, here's the thing. It's a difference. And I got to say this because somebody gonna say, well, where is she supposed to go as a sinner? You can go, she can come to my church, but you can't stay there. You cannot stay as you are. You can come as you are, but as you consistently come to my church, people of the church would ask you and be like, hey, we heard you were involved in this. Are you planning to stop that? Because if you're not planning to stop that sexual nonsense and you claim to be a Christian, we will hold you accountable. Every time you step in this church, we will call you out and ask you, are you stopped whoring yet? Have you stopped being a slut yet?
Mm-hmm.
We will call you out. We ain't just going to let you come in there and think everything is okay and you go about your merry way. Meanwhile, you're leading other people to straight to hell. No. So anyways, let's talk about let's read Proverbs 30, verse 20 first.
Oh, sure.
Because it speaks about them,
Yeah.
how these girls have no shame and
Right.
after they knew what they did.
Right. This is the way of an adulteress. She eats and wipes her mouth and says, I have done no wrong.
The way of an adulteress, a person who cheats, who causes people to cheat on their wives and has an adulterous relationship, act like they ain't did nothing wrong. And that's exactly what these young women are doing. When you see a woman who cannot take responsibility, who's putting this type of stuff online, who act like, I just went to the beach and I just took pictures in my bikini. They acting like they just so innocent, like they don't know what they're doing, knowing that young men is struggling with lust and looking at their pictures and doing whatever to them. They know this. They know younger men that are under 18 are using their dad and mom's credit card to pay for their OnlyFans. They know. They don't care. And they do this, and nobody calls them out for it. And then when they do get called out, they start crying. I don't care. I don't care if you want to cry. I don't care about none of that stuff. The evil that's going on in society under the name of Christianity, we need to treat the leaven different and remove it. You need to remove the lump. And here's the problem. Not enough Christians are doing that. So let's do this next section, the dangers of simping. And we got to read this because when I was doing this is how this came about. I said, I can't just not talk about this because I know we be talking about the type of women to avoid. But I read this. I was looking up all the different OnlyFans creators who are currently in OnlyFans and still claiming to be Christian. While doing that, I came across an article that a man wrote, and you just have to hear the language this man is using and why I can never respect a man like this. You know what, Mr. Producer? You put it on screen. Can you read this for us? Because this is taking simping to a whole nother level.
Here we go. Hey, I'm Jake, a total OnlyFans addict who's been deep in the game for over 5 years now.
Wait, let's stop right there. He's an OnlyFans addict. He admits that he goes and pays people to pretend to like him online. You're a loser, sir. You ought to be ashamed. You're disgusting. And you'll never have any friends that are worth anything if they're not telling you shouldn't be doing that. What type of loser do you think you are? You can't come in the presence of a man like me and be doing loser stuff like that. I'm dead serious. I will be like, no, dude, you can't be up in here. That's loser behavior. So he's an admitted OnlyFans addict, and let's see what he discovered. You can go.
As a guy who grew up in a strict Christian family, I started out just curious about faith-based content that blended spirituality with real intimacy.
What? Wait, so he's curious about faith-based content that mixes pornography with Christianity because he grew up as a Christian. No, you grew up as a simp. And you need to be told this because you need to be shamed. As a man, you're a disgusting excuse for a man. Y'all see, this is how I talk to men, by the way. You're a disgusting excuse for a man. And you have no purpose in your life other than to pay for somebody's OnlyFans for your intimacy because you couldn't get it from a regular woman because you're a loser. Now, here's the thing. God can recreate you. He can make you a new creature. But you have to admit you're a disgusting loser who would rather pay for fake intimacy and fake relationships than have a real one. You should be ashamed. Go ahead.
So he goes on, nothing explicit.
Oh, sure. Really?
Uh-huh.
Because when we look at these pictures down below of the list you made, every one of these girls is wearing some explicit stuff. Every one of them is wearing stuff that they wear at the beach or halfway wearing lingerie. Nothing explicit. Shut up.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's all about that uplifting, God-centered vibe.
Oh, really? You go to OnlyFans for that?
Mm-hmm. But let's be real. I dove headfirst, subscribing to hundreds of creators across the spectrum.
What a loser. Everybody point and laugh at this loser. What the heck? You got enough money to waste that you can subscribe to hundreds of these women? What do you do? Why don't you take that time and that money and get a gym membership and work out and stop being a loser? Okay, please read.
He said, I wasted cash on the meh ones, got excited about the promising teases, and yeah, even hit some dead ends that left me scrolling for more. It was my personal mission. Sift through the noise to find those hidden gems who deliver authentic Christian values, encouragement, devotionals, and that empowering sensuality without crossing lines.
This is straight up evil because how are you looking and wanting a devotion from a whore, for one? Because that's what these women are, they're whores. And so you want a whore to give you biblical instructions, and then on the same time, you want to goon and touch yourself. You feel good doing this? You honestly feel like you're living up to your full potential as a Christian man? I would feel uncomfortable even writing the sentences you wrote. I wouldn't even want to see what your keyboard looked like.
Thanks. Okay. That's just. Trust me, bro. He goes on.
Trust him,
me, bro.
Okay.
I've tested the waters, chatted with creators, binged their posts, and analyzed what makes them shine. Analyzed what makes them shine.
Okay. Trust this pervert.
Oh, yeah. From prayer sessions that hit the soul to body positive faith talks, I cherry picked the absolute best.
You can tell this dude is a liberal scumbag. You can tell because no man worth anything who has any real integrity, morals, or principles could ever feel comfortable writing this. This dichotomy, this total opposite ideas that you can be a whore and a Christian and somehow mix the two together. What an idiot. What an idiot.
Yeah.
He deserves to be surrounded and people should lift up holy hands on this man.
But he ends with this. These aren't just lists. They're my vetted faves that kept me subscribed month after month. No fluff, just quality.
Great. So you want to scroll down, Mr. Producer, because this is what this is the modesty he's talking about.
This is it.
This is the modesty. These women here.
So one has almost 25,000 subscribers. Monthly cost $3. A lot of these are apparently are free as of what I'm seeing here is free, but
They get paid. They get paid. Trust me. They
sure.
do private content.
I
They
was
do
gonna
all
say,
types of horror stuff.
Yeah,
on
they
the
would have to
side.
do some sort of right.
They doing all time. And here's the
Yep.
thing: look at the pictures they're putting out.
Oh, right.
This is not somebody who's just giving a Bible study.
Right.
And she got like her bosoms all out. Like, come on, dude.
There's no Bible study going on.
Yeah, it ain't no studying going on.
No,
Like, these dudes
no.
ain't looking to see what take they have on Second Thessalonians.
Yeah. They don't want their Bible commentary.
No, please. They want to have some sense of spirituality while engaging in goonery.
Right.
Like a pervert. That's what they want to do. And then try to, and maybe this is a weird way of them justifying it to themselves.
Yeah. I don't know.
You want to read this clown's?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Well, actually, here's some of his
reviews or
his reviews.
Oh, here we go.
On the whores.
Like it's a Michelin 5-star.
Right.
Here we go. Bella Puffs. Hey there. I'm talking about Bella Puffs, a sweet creator who brings a warm, inviting vibe to her Christian-inspired content on OnlyFans. She's all about sharing positive, faith-centered moments that feel personal and uplifting.
Wow. I'm sure it's uplifting something.
What stands out is her gentle personality and the way she focuses on wholesome interactions, like daily affirmations and lighthearted chats that tie into spiritual themes.
This is insane. And you know what's insane? We're making fun of him a lot, but a lot of this, a lot of the vitriol that I have needs to go to these women as well, because the audacity to have a platform and claim that it's being godly when you're putting it on a absolute adult porn site. How would you even feel comfortable having spiritual talks about God and the Bible and Christianity on a site where you're showing your body at the same time? You ought to be ashamed, and you're going to have to answer to God for that. He's going to judge you for that. And he's going to show you what you've done and then make you answer for it on your day of judgment. Many on the day of judgment will say to me, Lord, Lord, have we not done all these things in your name? Didn't I preach the Bible on OnlyFans? And he's going to say, depart from me, I never knew you. You know what you're doing is evil. And this is your chance to stop. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm not going to be nice and say, God has so much more for you. Some of these people will not change. They get paid too much. They are refusing to turn to God. And here's the evil thing about it. It talks about this in Hebrews. They teach the word of God according to what this pervert says in his reviews. They're teaching the word of God and doing Bible studies and devotions. They know what the word of God says, and they choose to do evil. And they choose to use the word of God as a platform to do it. How evil is that? How can somebody who has tasted that, the heavenly gift, how can somebody who can look and have the word of God in front of them and teach it, even have the audacity to say, well, now I'm going to repent? You know what God says, and you're choosing to use his word as a platform for your own sick desires and evil and money. Go ahead. You can read the next one.
So Brianna Boops is next. Meet Brianna Boops, the creator behind the #1 bum on OnlyFans, but in a Christian context.
Oh, great.
She channels her energy into empowering faith-based posts that celebrate body positivity through a spiritual lens.
Yay, body positivity, because that's what Christianity is about. You being positive about your sexuality. That's what Christianity is about. Not saying our righteousness is as filthy rags and we have sinned against God and no one is righteous, no, not one. No, it's all about body positivity, right? This is sick, man. These people pervert the gospel to a degree where I'm just surprised that they're not struck by lightning every time they go and record. These people are evil. You can continue.
Her style is playful yet respectful, with content that includes motivational messages and subtle, uplifting visuals. I subscribed once and was drawn to her enthusiastic greetings. They really make you feel welcomed and valued.
This
She's
dude
perfect
is
if-
so.
yeah, she's
This
perfect.
dude is so gay.
She's perfect if you want a mix of fun and faith that keeps things light and inspiring.
What a weirdo, man.
This is like reading a cheesy game show
Yeah,
script.
you dude is weird, man.
This is like old dating game.
I
thing.
can't
It's-
understand it. He can't, man. He can't.
Should we go on to?
We cannot be friends.
Yeah, let's go on to Amber James. Amber James is a fresh face at 18, blending her ballet background with Christian themes to create graceful, expressive content on OnlyFans.
Oh my gosh.
She stands out for her controlled yet freeing approach, sharing stories of personal growth rooted in faith. Her personality shines through in elegant photos and videos that evoke serenity.
I'm sure it's her personality that you went and searched for.
Right, yeah. When I checked out her free sub, I appreciated the artistic flair. It felt empowering and tied beautifully to themes of grace and Christianity.
Oh my gosh.
This has got to be a parody.
This can't be real.
This can't be real. Oh my.
This dude can't really exist.
Or we have Pokebella, rated as the #1 best free profile, offers a bubbly take on Christian content, making her space feel like a fun, faith-filled hangout.
Oh my goodness.
Her standout feature
You
is
can
the
hang out
sheer-
in a brothel.
Yeah, is the sheer volume of engaging posts, from cute affirmations to interactive chats, all with a positive spiritual twist. I subscribed for free and enjoyed the immediate warmth. It's like she's always online to brighten your day, ideal for anyone seeking an optimistic, community-driven experience in this niche.
Man, there's no possible way this man has good friends. Remember we talked about in the last show of having good men around you to hold you accountable?
Yes.
It's no possible way this man is that comfortable writing about his gooner material and how Christian it is, and he has godly men around him who hold him accountable. It's no way.
Yeah, there's just no way. Oh, and I just got to look at the last section. Oh, boy. Where he wraps it all up.
He's going to give us all the...
Oh, boy. if I can get through this one. So he says, wrapping it all up, finding your perfect Christian OnlyFans match. I've explored so many incredible creators in this Christian OnlyFans niche, and each one brings something unique to the table. For my subscriptions, I felt that warm sense of community and faith that makes these profiles feel like a personal extension of my spiritual journey. What a word salad.
Yes, and that's how they talk. These liberal dudes.
There's no content.
He's not saying anything, but he's
No.
trying to make it sound
Right,
more
mhm,
spiritual than it is
right.
to justify his own bad behavior.
Whether you're seeking gentle affirmations or something more playful and
Wait,
body
you know what's
positive.
one thing I've
Oh,
noticed too,
good
as
grief.
before
Yeah.
you go on,
Mhm.
he loves affirmations. What are
Yeah.
affirmations? There's somebody telling you that you're being good and you're
Right.
doing great
Right.
and all these encouraging phrases. Why do you need that? If you're not, you can tell and assess him. He's a weak male. He's a weak man because you don't need affirmations from whores on the internet to know you're doing the right thing. All you need is God. You need God and God's word to show you that you can be encouraged from his word. You need all these whores on the internet to pretend like they're talking to you, to have a fake relationship to affirm you doing what you know is wrong. And that's why I'd have such a disrespect for every man who engages in this type of behavior. These women don't like you. They never will love you. They'll never sleep with you. You can look at their bodies from far away. They do not care about you. If you took your life, they wouldn't shed a tear. And you over here talking about they're affirming you. They don't care about you. They care about your money and your attention. And you can say I signed up for free. They still getting that free attention off you that was meant to be. You could be using that time to get better so that you can actually have a real wife in your real life. But instead, you choose to be a loser in your basement, gooning to somebody talking about God while they're in a bikini. You're a loser, and you should be told you're a loser. And any real man who loved you, and if you had a father who loved you, he would tell you a loser. Stop being a loser, sir. If you want to reach out, any man who hears this, if you a loser and you hear the sound of my voice, reach out for me so I can tell you a loser and we can both help you get back on track. It's no joy in life when you sit by yourself and you have no internet and you have nobody to do all this fake lies to your face, when you got to sit alone in silence, you will have to confront the fact that you are a loser. And only God can make you into a new creature. Have a purpose in him. Trying to find purpose in all these weak, whack females instead of the relationship that you should be having in the real world. It's disgusting. You can read.
If you're drawn to bubbly, uplifting vibes that mix faith with a touch of fun and sensuality, I recommend starting with Brianna Boops or Joyful Jade. Their playful energy feels inviting. Excuse me, hello, problem with my microphone there. Their playful energy feels inviting and empowering, like a friendly chat that celebrates your whole self.
You need real friends. Stop
Yeah.
with the fake friends.
For those quieter moments of reflection and serenity, Serene Samantha or Peaceful Paige stand out. Their calming content helped me unwind and reconnect with my faith in a peaceful way.
Oh my gosh. Dude really went to prostitutes online to connect with his faith. That's such a fake faith. If you need what Proverbs tells you to avoid to come to God.
Right.
Proverbs says their end leads to death, and you saying they leading you to a devotion. You're just not a Christian. You don't know what you're talking about. It's no possible way you can be writing this and think that you're doing something of God. Come on, man. This got to be a parody or something.
This has to be because this is just written in such a
it's got to be
really-
fake. It's got to be fake.
And it's not just the way I'm reading it either. It kind of lends itself to
Yeah, it's got to be fake.
Yeah, because
But it's somebody out there who
somebody
think
out
they can
there.
do this.
Right.
I just know.
Comparing them, creators like Bella Puffs and Pokebellas shine for building that sense of community with free or accessible options. Perfect if you want to dip your toes in without commitment. On the other hand, if you crave depth and personal stories, Faithful Grace or Redeemed Rose offer authentic testimonies that feel raw and relatable, fostering real emotional bonds. And for a spark of passion or zeal, Zealous Zoe and Fervent Fiona, those are, wow. Bring that enthusiastic fire, blending devotion with an exciting, horny edge that keeps things lively and connected. This cannot be real. Ultimately, the best pick depends on what you need right now.
It's all about you, right?
Maybe a boost of positivity, a moment of grace, or that intimate human connection that makes faith feel alive and sensual. I encourage you to subscribe to a couple that resonate with you. In my experience, they've all added something special into my days. Dive in with an open heart and you'll find the inspiration and warmth you're looking for.
Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
This is what simping leads you to. To be a man like this. A low testosterone, no purpose, weirdo who needs affirmation from whores online, type dude who never comes out of his mom's basement. This is not who you want to be. This is the dude that you should avoid to be friends with. Honestly, and you know what? I kind of take that back. Because what happens is men like this need other men around them, and they become like this because they don't have other men around them.
Right.
So I take that back. He needs friends, but he needs that harsh friendship where his friends get around him and say, stop acting like a loser. Stop acting like a loser. Stop gooning about girls on the internet and you scared to talk to girls in real life. You're a loser. And they need to slap him up, get him in some combat sports where they punch him around and say, if we catch you doing that again, we going to the gym and we slapping you up again. That's good friends. That's what good male friends do.
Right.
This is what good Christian men do.
Yeah, because he's craving depth and personal stories.
Yeah.
You can get that through. I mean, really,
And he's allowing himself to be deluded like a female. He's allowing himself to really believe that these women care about him and they're affirming him and they're adding something to his life. In the back of his head, he knows that's a lie. And it's so many women. The reason why I got to talk about this is because OnlyFans does that to every man to a different degree if you're subscribing to them. You want a girlfriend experience. You want to feel like this girl is actually your girlfriend and that she cares about you. She don't care about you. She don't love you. She would rather you die and give all her money, your money to her. These girls don't love you and to an ounce of your being. If they met you, they would be disgusted. I've seen interviews of girls saying, ugh, my fans, I never want to meet them. They're kind of weirdo. They don't love you. And you over here convinced in your head that they do, and you rather believe the lie than live in reality. And that's what makes you less of a man. A man must deal with reality.
Right. And if these women are making all the money that they are, wouldn't they have a staff to do this?
Oh, yes, you're talking to a man.
Yeah. Some
Now,
guy.
they might put out videos of
Mhm.
themselves and stuff, but
Right.
if you think you getting a personal message
Right.
from one of these whores, they out here partying at the club somewhere. They ain't messaging you.
They've got a whole staff of
Right.
of
It's
old
some
men to
thank
do
you
that.
come again do messaging you
Right.
from another
Mhm.
country.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. It's a big scam that they're doing, and nobody cares because it's just taking advantage of men. If it was women crying, they'll make a documentary about it called the OnlyFans Male Swindler. But since it's men that's getting taken advantage of, and society is bent to take advantage of men because Satan knows he can do more if he has a whole generation of weak men, that's why you don't see no spiritual consequences. You see spiritual consequences. You don't see no spiritual push against this stuff because it's satanic. And this is the thing, dude, is it fills me with so much anger every time I hear of a simp doing this type of stuff. And you want to do two things. You want to come alongside and lead that man the right way, but then at the same time, you want to slap that man around a bit and tell him, get it in gear, dude. This is not what life is about. You're missing out on what the true purpose of your life. You wasting it.
He was talking here. Let me show you right here.
Yeah.
So he was saying, fostering real emotional bonds. Really?
Yeah, what real emotional bonds?
What real bonds?
These are not real. Everything you're doing is fake. It's fake. And then here's the thing that's going to happen. Say the world does crash and the internet goes down for a month. A lot of these dudes would end their own life because they will have to be faced with the consequence of,
Right.
I didn't build anything real and nobody is there for me. I don't have this fake bubble I created
Right.
to keep me feeling like a human being anymore. I no longer have human connection. I would have to go out into the scary world and actually make something of myself. And most of them cannot do it. And it's like, ain't nobody finna come and rescue you. You got to reach out and say, I need help. Nobody finna come to your house and say, hey, buddy, you're struggling with this. You have to reach out to people like me and say, I need help, and we will help you. But you have to humble yourself and admit this is not the way. You know, so I just wanted to point that out because when I read that, I was like, this can't be real. But the reality is there are men out there who are totally enslaved to this OnlyFans crap and think they have a girlfriend online somewhere. That's why when these girls reveal that they actually have boyfriends, they lose subscribers. Because these loser dudes are like, I thought it was my girl. I wanted to live in a fantasy. They're losers. They rather live in a lie than the truth, and that's not how a man should live. So with all that being said, these are the type of women you should avoid. And if you think we're not talking about Christians, we're talking about women who proclaim to be Christians. Even Sophie Rain believe she's a Christian. So it's hard to avoid these women. They are in the church. They're pretty. They go out and say the right things. And then you look deeper in their life and you see this type of nonsense. You have to know how to avoid them. But thank you guys for joining me. It's been me and Mr. Producer. I'm going to do another debate thing on Monday if you guys want to join and see that. Hey, you guys. I appreciate the support, but we still need more. We need you to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell to get the notifications, and then join us every time we live. And I appreciate all the comments you guys have been throwing out. I try to respond to those when I can. All right, I'll see you guys next time. This is The Righteous Edge with Jack Bravo. Peace out.